Hello and welcome to Are We There Yet? MarketScale's online video podcast series that explores the most exciting cutting-edge technologies, projects, and organizations in transportation today. My name is Grant Harrell, and as your host, I'll speak with the voices of today's most exciting organizations, truly learning what's at the cutting edge of transportation today. And today I'm very excited to learn more about what I believe is one of the most exciting events happening this year, the International Space Convention, and the organization behind this exciting event, Altair Enterprises. And here today to speak with us about that, we have the founders of both Altair as well as the organizers of the International Space Convention. We have Martynas and Nika. Hello and welcome to Are We There Yet?
Thank you, Grant.
Hello, Grant. Nice to be here.
Yes, well, thank you so much. We're really excited to get to speak with each of you today. I've really just enjoyed learning more about the International Space Convention over the last few months. Quite an exciting event within the space industry, and I know that everyone worldwide is very excited for this upcoming conference here in about a month, September 9th, 10th, and 11th. Looking forward to the International Space Convention 2022, and I know have big plans for next year's conference as well. And really excited today to learn a little bit more about not only the event and the organization that you founded, but also just in general, the space economy. I think it's such an exciting area. And again, I think you have one of the most exciting events within that economy. As the co-founders of Altair Enterprises, which is a space education and research organization, you're enabling people to pursue careers in the space industry. And you're also, as I mentioned, organizers of the upcoming International Space Convention. Again, I think one of the most exciting events of the year, and is actually really one of the biggest space industry business events throughout the entire world. The space economy is very much your world, or maybe more accurately, your galaxy. And I think that you have a very interesting perspective and insight into what's happening in the space economy. And so fitting within the Are We There Yet series, I would love to learn space as an economy, an industry, a business. Are we there yet?
So in terms of Are We There Yet? So that's, I don't believe actually that we will ever be able to say that we are there yet, like the with the full confidence, right? Obviously, now the industry in the 22nd year of the for 21st century, it's looking obviously much better, and it's finally getting this traction that it deserves, and this attention in terms of the funding and in terms of the attention that's going towards it. If you compare that to what's been in the second half of the 20th century. And we see a lot of changes with the private revolution that led to that. So a select group of private pioneers in the industry, so they have demonstrated that it's possible for companies to do things that were previously thought to be impossible, except if you were a superpower country, which had the budgets that were ranging into the trillions, right? But now that it's demonstrated that it's possible, we actually have thousands of the companies that follow the trail of those companies, and now space economy, as we speak today, comprises of over 10,000 companies, private companies in the industry. It employs over 1 million people, and the economy itself, it's recently actually reached 465 billion United States dollars, the global annual revenue, and it's expected to skyrocket to 1 trillion by 2040. And obviously for us at Altair Enterprises, it's all about shortening those timelines and supporting this growth and making it happen much quicker than it is supposed to happen by Morgan Stanley's estimations. And one thing that's going to be needed for that, Grant, so that will be the workforce, the driving force of the growth of the industry, which again is based on the education, which is the fundamentals of every industry, the driver of the growth of that. And that's, again, where Altair Enterprises comes in, and we're tackling that issue to solve the problem of the supply of the space professionals, and plus to help and guide the existing companies, the new companies, and entrepreneurs into how to successfully dominate the industry.
Great. I love it. I love to hear that you're building that foundation that's so important. I think that that's needed, and I love the idea of moving the economy along even quicker, than projections estimate. So that's great to hear. Would love to hear too, maybe some of your perspective. Altair is such an exciting organization, and International Space Convention coming up here, I think, is just a big part of these efforts. Your company, has really achieved a lot to date. I know that you've been featured, for example, in Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes Magazine, Space Impulse, Aerospace and Defense Review, just to name a few. Have some incredible organizations that are participating within your upcoming conference. Would love to learn, a little bit more about the convention itself, and maybe speaking even a little bit more to some of your work within Altair. But I think that each organization is so important, to establishing this foundation of the space economy. So would love to hear, some of your thoughts and maybe some of the background behind Altair and this upcoming conference.
Yeah, okay, Grant. So thanks once again for the invite. I mean, we had some seriously good talks, behind the scenes talking about the market scale. And obviously, we being the fans, so we want to just give you credit again for the phenomenal job that you do as a company, and for obviously having here today us as a guest. So coming back to the previous one, as also Nika mentioned, are we there yet? And kind of combining that with your question, we as Altair, obviously, we cannot say that we're there yet, because we looking at our personal timeline in terms of business has only been short of 2 years that we in actively operational as a company, right? And when we mentioning all these different articles, it just as funny as it sounds, sometimes we just kind of check in the boxes, right? I think there's some things, and we became accustomed in terms of business for you to get the credibility, right? And sometimes for you to speak in or to on Forbes Entrepreneur, we don't take it, like obviously if that's market scale, and if we're thinking about doing something more, as we discussed before, for example, that's a different talk, right? And we put more emphasis and kind of we look into this more in depth. But if it's speaking out somebody about, conventions and just notifying people that that's happening, and obviously we're the leading company and kind of putting the check mark, we spoke on Forbes and whatnot. But then the end of the day, we're all about the education, as Nika said, creating the fundamental piece for the people, right? And creating actually the change in the economy, right? We're not here to put the notches on a belt and look, we spoke on this, we spoke on that. There's a lot of individuals, maybe smaller companies that go out there and they try to leverage that in their own kind of, to attract capital, attention. They use it in many different ways. We just have it showcased just because we kind of, okay, let's check box. Okay, that's all we do, right? But we want to create the change, and that's what we decided again to do International Space Convention. Coming back to this particular region that the convention is going to be held this year, with the Caucasus region, which consists of the countries like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Turkey, and taking place in Turkey. We see that through the business, right? Through business, we can create fast change. And now, as Nika mentioned, with this Morgan Stanley predictions on $1 trillion, we look at that metric and think, okay, what we can do as a company, right? We understand there's going to be workforce needed, okay, but plus we're going to need businesses who can actually come into those markets and take the market share and provide better services for those up and coming regions, right? And that's the entire idea behind the ISC, because those opportunities, being the first edition in this region, those opportunities are there for those companies, right? And we, as being a good host, we actually, try to make it as perfect as possible for them. And I think we're the only one unique event organizing convention who provides opportunities like that cover the entire region, right? Because mostly conventions, they do cover a city or a country at once, right, during the 3-4 days. We're covering the region, and plus on top of that, we have unique B2B and B2G opportunities, right? Which that means we're going to have these companies, over 100 people, right, coming in and providing better services. So that helps the regional growth, right? So we can bring this space ecosystem that's localized to a different level that we see, for example, in the countries like US, kind of following those countries and see how much we can bring that standard here in terms of downstream, upstream services and applications, and obviously provide great benefit for those companies that can at least kind of leave a long-lasting growth for them or for the countries and the companies locally here as well. I mean, so we can talk a lot in terms of that, because I mean, we can already, even with ISC as big as it is, I don't want to sound it like whatever it will sound, but also like it becomes like a check mark for us. Because inside of the company, we have, as we talked before, we kind of pulling the products and projects that we have inside it in the Altair on the shelves, and being 1.5 years active company. I mean, able to create, even if it's, for example, a course hosting platform, just space dedicated, or having one of the biggest conventions only in a period of 8 months where none of the team members actually been doing any conventions to that scale, right? So that shows that, again, in terms of perseverance, figuring things out, and we discussed before, kind of planning, right, and executing, right, and making sure we don't make any mistakes with that, right? Because for us, I mean, look, if we make mistakes, fine, but I don't want to make mistakes in terms of who's going to be coming, and then opportunities are not there for them as we promised, right? So we have to make sure that these people are going to win, right? And for us, I mean, it just, it just kind of becomes a check mark almost, because we have many different up and coming projects in the future as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that. I mean, you really, I can sense are very passionate, about the space economy, and I think take a lot of ownership and responsibility for the success of the conference that's coming up here in the next few weeks. So I think that's very admirable, and I know that through your diligent work and just how much passion that I know each of you have behind the event, that it's going to be a tremendous success. So I know very, very much looking forward to it myself. I know, as you mentioned too, that it is very unique and even more exciting, I think, and impressive that it's really an entire region. It's not a city or state or a single country for that matter. It's an entire region, and I think that there's just some incredible opportunity that's allowed through that. I'm really impressed as well with the venue. I think you have an incredible venue for the year's conference, and in addition to all the businesses and individuals that are going to be there, the venue itself is really incredible as well. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about the location for this year's conference and the venue that the event will be hosted within?
Mm-hmm. Sure, Grant. So GUHAM, this is Gokmen Aviation and Training Center. So it's specifically designed for the training center in the aviation and the space industry. For younger audiences, it has over 145 installations. It has the museums inside in terms of the if it's airplanes, or if it's, again, the space shuttle elevator that takes individuals to the third floor, right? And different installations like that make you really feel like you're in the space or in a spaceship, right? And it's also one of the biggest. It's actually the biggest space training center in the Europe, and it's over. I think it's over 3,000 square feet, and it's quite huge, 3 floors, and it's going to be just the best place in Turkey to hold this event, and that's how it's been selected. Obviously, we have partners there which we're cooperating with that they're volunteered as well for us to host this event as there. We had many different options, but in the end, we decided to hold it there because Turkey, as one of the leading countries in this region, we do believe it's symbolic to hold it in Turkey, and it will be the best for sure, because the local ecosystem that is present there in terms of the small sat companies and in terms of the telecommunications companies that they are really very much looking forward to meeting those companies that will be coming in. And also those companies in return are also very much looking forward to meet them and have conversations with them. And GoHam will be just the perfect meeting ground for those conversations to take place.
Yeah, absolutely. What a bonus to the event. As you see a lot of conferences nowadays that are at kind of your traditional conference center or, event center. And so I think for an event like this, especially focusing on the space economy, to be hosted in a venue like that's going to provide some really cool interactive experiences and demonstration of technology and products, I think is incredible. So definitely kudos to you, I think, for choosing a world-class venue for the conference. I know it's going to be a lot of fun for attendees that I know are coming in from all over the world. As I shared too, I think that really and truly, I think that each of you and your organization have an incredible perspective and insights into the space economy and what's going on and what we might look forward to over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, for example. And I think that a lot of that insight and perspective that you each offer is just having such exposure, to really hundreds, if not thousands, of space companies and individuals, approximately 1 million, as you shared earlier, individuals that are employed currently within the space economy. And these numbers are certainly going to grow very significantly over the coming years. And you're talking with these companies, you're talking with these individuals, you're learning about, not only the technologies and companies that are accomplishing things today, but, what the next chapter of technology and evolution is going to look like. And so I think that perspective, especially bringing in the international component and collaborating with organizations throughout the world really offers, I think, each of you an incredible insight into what's happening within the industry and where we might be headed. And so, that's very much the theme of the Are We There Yet series. I love to speak with individuals and learn what's happening now in some of these incredible industries, as well as, where things are going. So with all that being said, I would love to maybe get some of your, perspectives in terms of what's happening today. What are you especially excited about in the space economy? And then maybe even looking past that, what are some things maybe that you're excited about over the next 10 to 20 years?
So one of the things that we are for sure excited, and that's what we decided to make it the main theme for this year's event, for this year's convention, is space sustainability. We see right now, obviously, the space sustainability kind of been the major theme across all the different sectors, if it's transportation, if it's energy, if it's space being one of those. So, and it's good to see because all these problems, because I think, just like looking and reflecting as we do live life as humans, right? I think we do create, a substantial amount of problems, but we have nobody else to blame, just ourselves. So space is being also one of these sectors that we created, a problem with the space debris, and especially now thinking about and dreaming and having the thoughts about going back to the moon, if that's right now with the Artemis mission that finally, I think finally is being announced in terms of launch and the dates and the times, and of course more kind of deep space Mars missions and going beyond. If that would have been the case, that we have kind of passed through that, kind of looked through our fingers and said, well, it's not actually that big of a problem, right? But actually, we saw that from the private or government side. Even now, the governments are investing into companies, startups. They're providing funding, or that could be, any form of information that they can help those companies to succeed and create businesses around, deorbiting, refueling, anything to extend lifetime of a satellite or deorbit, right? So it's good to see that actually we came on a global scale, right? Came to this conclusion that okay, it is an issue and we need to tackle that issue, right? So I'm very excited about that because obviously sustainability now it's still a trendy kind of thing, right? Because there's companies out there who are using that just to sell their services. Also, we're a sustainable company, right? But there's actually a lot of those pioneer companies. Going back, if we're talking about the Tesla and disrupting the entire industries in the car industry, right? And then the rest is kind of following, right? So in space is also happening the same. You have one big company, right? And then they say, okay, look, there's opportunity there, right? Which is create that opportunity for them to create companies, but also to clean up the space, right? So there's all these, as I mentioned, these different insights that we get by talking with individuals and companies. And there's just so much that we probably can share in this, short episode today. But there's so many great things that are happening. If we're talking about next generation propulsion systems or different propellants. But again, we're kind of coming back to the same theme as we're discussing right now is sustainability, right? So now we see that across all the different kind of spectrums, if it's launch company, if it's a satellite company, hardware, software solutions, they're actually working and looking at the industry through kind of this lens of sustainability. We just had a great also talk on our podcast not long ago as well with a great individual. They're also tackling and providing data for companies in different also verticals, different sectors, right? Agriculture, finance, defense, and whatnot. So, but they're also looking at through the climate change, right? They're looking how the climate change actually affects, and they look at the Earth observation data and actually how does that affects the change that we're experiencing right now, which is again, it's not a theory anymore, it's a fact. And we see that right now every single day. We as people are now talking. So now, my kind of hope and kind of looking at things that I'm looking right now in the future, and makes me exciting. I hope to see more of these solutions that we see now in space that have been used before in the past. If it's again through the space shuttle program and through NASA's program, JPL program, that kind of we reap those rewards today, right? Things that we forget about. Obviously, that you can go to JPL website and see a list of innovations that couldn't happen because of the space flight, right? The list is big, and those are big items that we're talking about that either help people on a health aspect, just everyday life. So if we see that now tying with the space sustainability and these companies, innovative companies that are being funded and supported with governments because they're also getting on board right now, or if it's a private money, and we're going to start to take care of the planet more, right? And that's why kind of, when I talk with that individual, that got me excited, right? Now I see companies that also not provide this through, okay, Earth observation data. You're in maritime, you're in defense, you're in IoT, you're in agriculture. Now he's like, look, I'm like how the climate change actually, and looking the data and the facts and how you can make better decisions based on that, but not even based on that, right? How you can create a change yourself. Like how we can unwind this, right? We took care of the space debris, or we taking care of it, right? So what we're going to do with the planet, as we see right now, look, before we started the call, we said, look, it's 40 plus degrees. We see these heat waves across the globe, right? And so now we see that this is not a theory anymore. So now we need to look at the space, space-based companies and technology, and like in the past with all these different kind of spin-offs that we saw and reap rewards until this day, we kind of need to think and kind of imagine what else we can do for this planet, and how we can take care of it for this year or upcoming generations.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I think that's great. And I think that's a perspective that's probably pretty unique. I think I speak with a lot of people and they're excited about, going to Mars, or they're excited, about returning to the moon, for example, and tourism, for example, in space. And those are all so exciting. Couldn't be more exciting. But I think this idea of kind of a passion, for space exploration in terms of the technologies and products and applications that help us here on Earth, and being able to kind of observe even some of those weather patterns and sustainability and the environmental component, and what we can learn through the space economy to help better protect us here on Earth, I think is really exciting. So I think that's a really unique perspective that you offer. So.
Another exciting thing, Grant, about the space industry, besides space sustainability, so as Martynas mentioned, and it's obviously perfect that it's now getting more attention towards that side. But another thing about space industry is actually what makes it very unique is that there's a sheer vastness of opportunities, and there's actually no limitations. So in terms, you can go as far as your imagination, and obviously your perseverance allow you to go. And now we see that there's more access, and there's more, obviously, opportunities for the startups as well. And hopefully I can transfer that passion to the next generation of space entrepreneurs right now by the statements that I'm going to make here. But obviously what we see now, besides obviously the funding that is now more accessible to space companies, which in the last year it has passed 17 billion United States dollars, which is 3% of total venture capital investments across all industries. And plus, additionally, besides the funding that is now available, there's also all this availability of the off-the-shelf components that they can just get even on the online platforms and online marketplaces that are available, right? And plus, space industry, as exciting and as advanced that it is, right? There is some of the things and some of the verticals from the maybe a bit less boring side of the space, which is again business side, right? Maybe just a bit more boring than the space exploration itself. And there's a lot of things that are being left out in terms of the marketing side or the scaling side and operational side. Many things are being left out. And all this gives a lot of opportunities for the next generation of entrepreneurs to actually dominate and to stand out from the crowd and to actually capture the market share in the next trillion-dollar industry. And Martynas and I, we have also recently published this short-sized booklet. It's just under 19 pages, so it's Space Business 101. And basically, we cover their 7 main steps that every new space entrepreneur has to undertake in order to stand out, to dominate, and to do this as quickly as possible and in a sustainable way, right? So this kind of ties in nicely with what Martynas spoke as well. So that book is also a free resource. So it's available on our website. It's available on Amazon. So we're just looking to add value to individuals like that, and obviously to the space economy by them becoming next generation of entrepreneurs.
I love it. Well, I encourage audience members to check that out. I think those are some valuable insights. And speaking to that, would you mind directing audience members to how they can learn more about the International Space Convention and Altair Enterprises? I know this is going to be a very exciting episode within the Are We There Yet series. We'll feature at marketscale.com, premier business-to-business platform, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I know there's going to be a lot of individuals and organizations excited to learn more. So do you mind telling our audience how they can learn more about your company and the upcoming event?
Sure. So they can go to altairenterprises.com, to see what we do a little bit more in detail, to find a little bit more information about us. But when they're going to click the section of ISC 2022, they got redirected to the official ISC website, and they can check who are the speakers, what they're going to be covering about, and see all the exciting things that are going to be happening during those 3 days.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I know there's going to be a lot of individuals and organizations reaching out. So just want to thank you both so much. I really appreciate you taking the time today to check in with us here at Market Scale and to tell us about your incredible organization and the upcoming conference. I know myself, the company, and a lot of people that I'm talking to are really looking forward to the event. So really appreciate you each taking the time to stop by today. I know we'll be in contact again here soon, but want to wish you, the organization, and the upcoming International Space Convention continued success. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Honor to be here.